on Justice, Juliet Marie de Leon Ferrer, esteemed members of the committee, ginagalang naming mga bisita galing sa iba't ibang ahensya, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Una sa lahat, gusto ko pong pasalamatan na ating minamahal na Speaker, Honorable Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, sa kanyang suporta at sa paniniwala niya sa kahalagahan ng pagkakaroon ng mga investigasyon in aid of legislation at upang magampanan din namin ang aming oversight function. And to our Majority Floor Leader, Manix Dalipe, and our committee chairman for scheduling this meeting the soonest. Bilang representante ng Tercera Distrito ng Cagayan, di ko ba tungkuling malaman kung ano ang katotohanan sa iba't ibang issue na pinapaabot at sa mga nangyayari sa aking distrito? Di ko ba tungkuling malaman ang mga kasagutan sa katanungan ng aking mga kababayan na sila ang nagbigay sa akin ng pagkakataon na paglingkuran ang aming distrito? Mas madali po ang tumahimik, ngunit dapat nga bang tumahimik na lang ako at magsawalang kibo, lalo na kung ang kaduda-dudang bagay at sitwasyon ay hindi lamang ukol sa lokal na pangseguridad, kundi ang seguridad ng ating bansa. Today, we are convened to deliberate on House Resolution number 1666. Why file this resolution? In the last 3 years, a local resident of Tuguegarao City will not fail to notice the presence of Chinese nationals in groups and droves in the streets, department stores, restaurants, markets, and other areas, more so on schools in Tuguegarao City. This unprecedented mingling of Chinese nationals with the locals in Tuguegarao City raised many serious concerns, especially so when it became talk that these Chinese nationals were renting houses, apartments, and boarding houses at very high rentals. At ang obserbasyon ng aking mga kababayan ng mga ito ay hindi mukhang estudyante. I have personally received through text, call, or verbal conversations from friends, acquaintances, and constituents reports about the rise in the number of foreign nationals, more particularly Chinese students in Tuguegarao, which led me last year to hold meetings with relevant government agencies and local universities, primarily to gather information to validate and to be apprised on why there is an influx of these Chinese nationals. On October 5, 2023, upon my invitation, this representation had a formal meeting with representatives from the St. Paul University of the Philippines and University of St. Louis, two leading universities in Region 2, based in Tuguegarao City. National Intelligence Coordinating Authority Director for Region 2, Flor Melinda Olet, and CHED Director Attorney Marco Cicero Domingo, from which meeting the following information surfaced. My first question back then was, how many foreign students are enrolled in their schools? University of St. Louis Representative James Pataguan was first and quick to answer and volunteered the information that on that date, October 5, 2023, no Chinese, he specifically mentioned immediately, no Chinese students have enrolled. Ito po ang pagkasabi dahil, ito na po ang pagkasabi dahil hindi pa sila nagkasundo ng ahente sa babayarin dahil 1 milyon ang gusto nilang iparesibo, ngunit 200,000 pesos lamang ang aktwal na babayaran. Nasinundan ko ng katanungan, St. Paul University Philippines, magkano naman ang sa kanila? It was not denied by the representative of St. Paul University, PJ Lapay, that the current fee paid by a Chinese student in St. Paul is 1,200,000 pesos. As mentioned by PJ Lapay, there are about, as mentioned, Chairman, by the representative of St. Paul University Philippines then, Mr. PJ Lapay, there are about 4,600 Chinese students since the start of their internationalization program before the COVID pandemic in 2020 and 1,200 Chinese students enrolled in 2023. That was said on October 5, 2023. And about 10,000 was the targeted number of Chinese students. 10,000 po ang tinatarget nila. Iba't ibang katanungan ang lumabas sa pagpupulong na yun at napagkasunduan na gawan na lamang ng report ang kanilang mga kasagutan at nagtakda kami ng compliance meeting on October 23, 2023. Pero hindi na po ito dinaluhan ng St. Paul University at USL. At ayon sa CHED at NICA na sila po ang nag-attende, nanatiling hindi nasagot ang mga katanungan. With continuous follow-ups to CHED and NICA, said compliance was never submitted. Isa sa layunin ng House Resolution na ito ay upang malaman kung naaayon, napapanahon pa ba ang mga batas at polisiya na nagawa 2 dekada na ang nakaraan o kailangan na ring amendahan at dagdagan sa kadahilan ng ito ba ay angkop pa sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon at sa sitwasyong kinahaharap natin. Kung kailangan bang palakasin ang pulisiya, magdagdag ng mga bagong batas kung kinakailangan at sisiguraduhin may mga additional safeguards na nakapaloob upang hindi po ito maabuso at hindi din po tayo mabulaga at malagay ang seguridad ng ating bansa sa alanganin. Better safe than sorry, ika nga. Ang nagtulak sa akin sa pangalawang layunin nang dahil sa mga usapin ng Agents Commission at sa mga ganitong pangyayari, ang mga iniiwasan natin na baka masira ang integridad at reputasyon ng mga eskwelahang ito na napakatagal ng panahon na itinaguyod. Baka po mawala ng dahil sa mga ganitong pangyayari. Dahil ipinagmamalaki ko po na ako ay produkto ng St. Paul University Philippines bilang grade school alumnus at high school alumnus naman po ako ng University of St. Louis. Being a member of the House of Representatives, I deem it best for the conduct of a formal congressional inquiry in aid of legislation to obtain information and to conduct an investigation on the influx of Chinese students and nationals in our province and to conduct an investigation on the real intention of the influx of Chinese students and nationals in our province of Cagayan. This is so given the current circumstances of dispute between the Philippines and China on the West Philippine Sea. It is also interesting to note that Cagayan's 2 municipalities, namely Lalo and Santa Ana, have been named as additional EDCA sites. And so, House Resolution 1666 was filed. After HR 1666 was filed, another meeting was held on April 18, 2024, upon my invitation, and was attended that time by various and relevant agencies like NICA, PNP, CHED, NBI, Immigration, DFA, MIG, DILG, NCIP, PNP, DAR, MGB, Philippine Statistics Office. Madam Chair, this is not about racism or showing xenophobia, nor this inquiry born out of alarmism, nor is it an endeavor taken lightly. Hindi po tayo padalos-dalos. Subalit ang sitwasyon na sa ating harapan ay nangangailangan ng masusing pag-aaral at pag-iimbestiga. Above everything is our national security and sovereignty. Ang kasalukuyang sitwasyon sa West Philippine Sea ay nagudyok sa atin upang maging alerto. Bilang mga kinatawan ng sambayanang Pilipino, hindi natin dapat isantabi na lang ang mga bagay na ito, lalo na kung ang nakataya ay ang soberenya at kaligtasan ng ating mga mamamayan at ng buong bansa. The initial meetings and intelligence gatherings conducted raised serious red flags regarding national security risks. These findings underline the necessity for an exhaustive investigation. It is not enough to simply identify that a problem exists. We must understand its nature, scope, and implications. Therefore, I propose this inquiry in aid of legislation, since this is critical to collect comprehensive data and insights. This will enable us to formulate robust policies and laws that safeguard our national interests while still fostering an open and beneficial academic environment and vibrant local and national economy. Kung wala naman tayong itinatago, bakit po tayo kakabahan? House Resolution number 1666 points to a significant increase in the number of Chinese nationals entering our province under the guise of student visas. Ang sitwasyong ito ay lalong pinalalala ng di umanong pagsuporta sa kanila ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Cagayan at tumutuligsa sa Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement sa Estados Unidos na polisiya po to ng national government. Ang pagkabahala ng aking mga kababayan sa Cagayan ay lehitimo at may basehan. Ang biglang pagdagsa ng mga Chinese students na ito ay nagdadala ng pangamba at hindi nating maiwasan pagdudahan ang kanilang mga aktibidad at intensyon, lalo na at ang probinsya ng Cagayan ay nasa estratehikong lokasyon. Ang implikasyon ng sitwasyong ito ay hindi lamang panglokal, kundi isa rin itong national concern sapagkat nakataya dito ang ating pambansang seguridad. As we proceed, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, with today's committee meeting, let us be guided by our commitment to uphold the security and sovereignty of our nation. Dapat nating suriin at imbestigasyon ang isyong ito at dapat tayong kumilos na may integridad bilang mahalal na kinatawan ng ating mamamayan sa Kongreso. Naway maging masinsinan ang pagdinig na ito sapagkat ang nakataya ay walang iba kundi ang kinabukasan at katatagan ng ating minamahal na bansang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pansin at umaasa ako sa mga produktibong talakayan at sa mga konkretong solusyon na magmumula sa mahalagang pagdinig na ito. Mabuhay po ang Cagayan, mabuhay ang Pilipinas, at mabuhay tayong lahat. Mabalo. Magandang umaga.
Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Congressman Ruel Peter Gonzaga, Congressman Ramon Rodrigo Gutierrez, and Congressman Francisco Paulo Ortega V. Since our other author is not here yet, we will just listen to him later. We'll give him a chance later to give to sponsor
Madam Chair,
his house
I have a
speech.
question, just one question.
Yes, Congressman.
You mentioned 1,200 pesos, or 1,200,000. Is that for each student?
For each student, yes,
Can you imagine?
Kong,
1,200,000
per student.
per student. We are talking of already 5,000, right? 4,000 plus.
4,600
Yes, and now
at St. Paul alone.
My goodness. Just to be clear, Madam Chair.
Okay,
That information was neither denied, and it was mentioned by St. Louis University, 1 million per student. Madam Chair,
yes,
if I may I move for an executive session because there is a presentation to be done by our intelligence agency, ISAF.
there's a motion for calling for
What's the
executive
nature? We
session.
don't normally have executive sessions because precisely the public should know. And if it's not really a matter of life and death for our country, I would want, with the indulgence of Congressman Lara, for them to present. This is something that everyone should know. This is a national security concern, and thank you for your resolution. So I'd just like to know whether it pertains so much about national security because it's all known that China is always intruding in the West Philippine Sea. And we have Chinese people and the students, thousands in the Philippines.
Madam Chair,
Madam
Lara,
Chair, I
under our
think we
rules-
we should conduct executive session because there might be sensitive information that they would like to relate to this committee that will involve national security. We know very well that issues regarding national security should be kept within the committee. So pakinggan natin. Mahirap naman we'll put them on the spot. They might divulge some information na talagang for officials only.
Under the
That
rules,
is not for public consumption.
under the rules of the House, we can call for an executive session if it may endanger national security. So,
Madam Chair.
Lara,
Madam
yes,
Chair.
Minority Partner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are levels of information, some of which are classified. In other words, this is for public consumption or for certain authorities. Madam Chair, can we ask ISAF if they are requesting for an executive session? So
Madam
that,
Chair.
Yes,
we
Kong
can
Lara.
have, we can grant this.
Before we listen to
yeah,
ISAF, Kong Lara
the
first.
indulgence of our minority. Kanina po, actually, nabanggit ko kay Chairman kung pwedeng mag-present ang isa for yung mga reports na. My suggestion is one with you, Congressman Rufus, kung pwede ma-involve yung ibang agencies. So, sabi ni Madam, kung pwedeng tanong din sa kanila at ito na po, sabi ni Colonel, kung pwede yung members lang ng House ang haharapin nila kung maaari lang. So
Kaya-
yun yung
Kaya,
tanong
Madam
na.
Chair,
Yeah, let
for the
them answer.
record, para
Yeah.
pumasok sa record
Yes.
po natin,
Tama.
Can we hear
tanungin
from
natin sila
ISAF if
sa
Yes.
kanilang
it is
opinion.
necessary?
Madam Chair, I am Colonel Rimrad B. Peraer, the Chief Operations Division of ISAP. I am representing General Peralta, who is receiving the Commanding General Philippine Army because we have a unit visitation, and I will be the one to represent our chief. So pertaining to the question, if there are information that needs to be divulged in an executive session, the answer is yes, because we don't want to compromise our sources, and we don't want to preclude any investigation that is being conducted, since that the issue concerns is national security.
Kong Rufus, are you satisfied?
The nature of your presentation would pertain to very important national security concerns.
Actually, sir, our statements that will be giving to you is part of the national security.
All right, with that statement, Madam Chair, I would withdraw my opposition and that we go on executive session. She has
Madam Chair.
invoked national security.
Yes,
Well,
Kong Rufus.
I then move that we go to executive session, Madam
So
Chair.
there's a pending motion from Kong Lara, and
Second the
there's another motion, the joint motion from Congressman Tulfo, duly seconded. There being no objection, the motion is approved. May we request
Madam Chair.
everyone who's not
Point of order, Madam Chair.
part, yes,
Prior to entering to executive session,
Yes.
maybe just know, I just came from another committee. Have they taken their oath, Madam Chair?
oh, yes, before we can do the oath before they go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
For the record, may I resource persons state their names, their position, and their office, starting from Director Leilani Feliciano down the line,
Please
please.
stand up.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson, esteemed representatives, and
Name,
esteemed-
position, and ano lang po, ma'am, and
Sige.
office. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Director Leilani Feliciano of the Visa Division, Office of Consular Affairs, Department of Foreign
Thank you.
They've already been acknowledged earlier. By you, Secretary. Are we going to repeat them? Because they were called for the oath. Yeah, so they should now stand up because they've been
Yes.
identified. Stand up and have your oath.
After you,
They all stand up. They have been
You
recognized
state your
earlier.
name and your designation, and then you stand up so that you'll be
Yeah.
ready to take the oath altogether. See, go.
Morning, Madam Chair. Norman Tansingo, Commissioner, Bureau of Immigration.
Morning, Madam Chair. Francis Jude Lawenco, Assistant Director General, National Security Council.
Please state your name.
Sir, I am Colonel Rimrad B. Pereer, the Chief Operations Division of ISAP.
Sir, I am Major Aris A. Herrero, the MIG Commander of MiG-2 based in Region 2, sir.
Your Honors, Madam Chair, OIC Director Julius Tancred Managelod, Counterintelligence Operations Office, Directorate for Counterintelligence, National Intelligence Coordinating Agency.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jerome Abraham Reyes, Chief Operations Divisions, Counterintelligence. NICA, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Your Honors, Filipinas Astrero, the Chief International Operations Division of the NBI.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Your Honors. I'm Victor Lorenzo, Regional Operations of the NBI.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Attorney Don Ann Hernandez, Chief of Staff of the Investigation Service of the NBI.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, Your Honors. I am Head Agent Sixto Comilla of the Criminal Intelligence Division of NBI.
Thank you. On the other side.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Your Honors. I am Jeremy Godofredo Morales. I'm the Director for Internationalization at St. Paul University, Philippines, Tuguegarao.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Attorney Jerome Laines, Director for Legal and Legislative Service, JED.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Your Honors. Edna Imelda Fernandez Legaspi, Director of the Office of Student Development and Services, or OSDS, CHED Central Office. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Marco Domingo, CHEDRA 2 Director in Charge.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Attorney Cinderella Filipina Benitez Haro, Executive Director of the Commission on Higher Education.
Okay, please stand up so that you can take your oath.
Please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee? Thank you. You may take your seat.
In your oath, we will ask everyone to leave the room except ISAP, NSC, and NICA.
Media po, pakilabas din po muna mga media. Thank you. And all of the other Secretariat personnel, DS, yes ma'am. Labas po muna. Yung mga nagre-record, paki-pause po. Paki-pause yung mga recordings. Staff. Cut.
Before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Senior Deputy Speaker, Aurelio Gonzalez Jr., Congressman Ed Biquiap, Congresswoman Laarni Roque, Congressman Raul Manuel, Congressman John Flores, and Congressman Roy Loyola, and Congressman Dan Fernandez. So now we'd like to listen to the sponsorship speech of Congressman Benny Abante. Comsec, can you please read the title of the House Resolution?
House Resolution number 1703. A resolution directing appropriate committee to conduct an investigation in need of legislation on the Bureau of Immigration relative to the entry and influx of a big number of Chinese nationals in our country who are now enrolled and studying in a school in Cagayan province with the objective of putting forward legislative measures that would assure the security of our country and the protection and preservation of our education institution as guaranteed under our Constitution, filed by the Honorable Representative Bienvenido Abante.
Kong Abante, you have the floor po. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, our distinguished colleagues, and of course our resource persons that we have invited today. In furtherance of the privileged speech that I delivered on April 30, 2024, entitled Restoring Honesty and Integrity in the Bureau of Immigration, relevant to national security and protecting our educational institutions from alien domination, I sponsored a resolution for the House to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the Bureau of Immigration, by reason of which we have this hearing today before this distinguished committee. My privileged speech and accompanying resolution, Madam Chair, and my dear colleagues, were prompted by recent events that I submit are of national concern, because these events affect the security of our nation, our educational institutions, and honesty and integrity in government service, and challenged by the express provisions of our Constitution that, number one, the goal of the Armed Forces of the Philippines as the protector of the people and the state is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. Number two, the state shall maintain honesty and integrity in public service and take positive and effective measures against graft and corruption. Number three, public office is a public trust, and public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, act with patriotism and justice, and lead modest lives. And number four, no educational institution shall be established exclusively for aliens, and no group of aliens shall comprise more than 1/3 of the enrollment in any school. Madam Chair, corruption in the Bureau of Immigration should be seriously and comprehensively looked into so that appropriate legislation can be crafted. Let us not forget the Pastilla scheme. No less than Immigration Commissioner Norman Garcera Tancinco has pointed out that corruption has been a long problem of the Bureau. Then we have the escorting issue at our international airports, of which the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Immigration announced that they are working together to investigate the same. And now we have this issue of entry, stay, and enrollment of many Chinese nationals in our private schools, especially in the province of Cagayan. This should alarm and prompt us to conduct this investigation in aid of legislation. We should ascertain in this investigation the truth on this issue so that appropriate legal actions against all concerned could be initiated as a way of stamping corruption in the Bureau and set an example to other agencies of our government, and so that corresponding legislation could be made. We should determine how these Chinese students and other Chinese nationals entered our country, and if all the procedures and requirements from all concerned agencies of the government were duly complied with. If these Chinese students entered our country on the strength of a 9A visa, we should find out if they converted the same to a 9F visa, and if all the requirements for such conversion were duly accomplished. This unprecedented situation should alarm us, because of all places in our country, they chose to enroll in a school in the province of Cagayan, which is very near our Philippine rights and 3 enhanced defense cooperation agreement, or EDCA, sites between the Philippines and the U.S. Likewise, Madam Chair and my dear colleagues, it has all been noted that many foreigners obtain Filipino birth certificates, driver's licenses, UMIDE cards, passports, and even accreditations and auxiliary membership in the armed services, particularly in the Philippine Coast Guard. The veracity of all of this should likewise be looked into in all sincerity and with dispatch. By all means, we must protect our national security and our educational institutions, and must ensure honesty and integrity in government service. Madam Chair, consistent with our declaration in the preamble of our Constitution, that we are imploring Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. Let me end with these teachings and injunctions in the scriptures. In the book of Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of the transgressors shall destroy them. For the love of money, according to 1 Timothy 6:10, is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have earned the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. In Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear it rule, the people mourn. And lastly, Madam Chair, I would like to say in Psalm 33, verse 12, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Thank you very much.
So now we'd like to hear resource persons. We would like to remind you that we have the room only until 1 o'clock. So please make your presentation or your position short so that the congressman can ask questions. We start with the BI.
Madam Chair, I would propose the parameters of this hearing. What is important is that the two resolutions will be clarified. How come there are many thousands of students in Cagayan? So you're right, BI will be first. On that, what is the step? Why? Give us the reason why there is an entry of so many students in Cagayan. And then after Commissioner Tansinco, we'll hear from the Department of Foreign Affairs. How come that from abroad they're able to come? And thirdly, we'll hear from the CHED on why there are many schools having this. So with that parameter, on how come they are able to be by the thousands present in Cagayan. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Tansinco, kailangan maganda yung sagot nyo dahil dalawang former commissioners ng BI ang nandito. Sige po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, good morning, everyone. Good morning to former Commissioner and now Minority Leader Marcinilo Nubanan and former Commissioner, now the representative of Cagayan de Oro, Congressman Rodriguez, and all the other members of the committee. To put matters in the proper perspective, the entry and stay of foreign students in the country is governed by Executive Order number 285. In that executive order, an interagency committee was created. Interagency Committee on Foreign Students, chaired by the Commission on Higher Education, and co-chair is the Department of Foreign Affairs, and members are NBI, NICA, BI, and DepEd. There are two modes by which a foreign national intending to study in the country can take. First is apply directly with the Philippine Consulate for a 9F student visa. And the second mode is to apply, if visa required, national, in this case like the Chinese nationals, apply for a 9A entry visa also with the Philippine Consulate and convert upon entry into the country. But in the two modes, the prospective foreign student already has the notice of acceptance from the school, which is the basis for the either the mode 1 for the issuance of the 9F visa, or the second mode for the issuance of the 9A visa for the purpose of studying in the country. So, but most often than not, the prospective foreign student applies for the 9A and convert upon arrival. Considering the period of time in the processing 9F visa in the consulates. Now, why was there a surge of foreign students in the country? Based on our analysis of the situation, number one, the Philippine government has been promoting the country as a regional and global education hub. And CHED's, the Commission on Higher Education's Study in the Philippines campaign has greatly helped boost the number of foreign students in the country. Then before the pandemic, a memorandum of understanding was signed by CHED and the Chinese Ministry of Education to fast-track bilateral cooperation on higher education. Also, in 2019, the Chinese President and then Philippine President Duterte signed a memorandum of agreement on higher education cooperation between the Philippine Higher Education Authority and the Chinese Ministry of Education. Also, higher education was marketed during the China International Import Expo in 2018. CHED's study PH programs targets that the Philippines become a center of quality higher education, especially in the ASEAN. So these factors contributed to the increase of foreign students in the country, not only Chinese nationals. Then the figure of 2023 that showed the increase of foreign students, because during the year 2023 was the time when the country opened up again after the pandemic. So nagbalikan po sa atin ang mga estudyante that were not able to enroll during the pandemic due to the travel restrictions. Then it was also during that time that the CHED allowed the blended learning program wherein foreign students can enroll as students in local universities or higher educational institutions, but they were allowed the blended learning, the online learning, but they were still required to come physically during certain phases of the educational program. In the end, the under Executive 285, the role and responsibility of BI is to monitor the compliance of the foreign students of their visa, of their student visa. EU 285 requires all the schools to submit reports to BI and CHED of their enrollees, copy furnish NICA and NBI. Based on our records, all the schools have complied with their submission requirements. And if there are some very seldom that the school will report that this student has failing grades or did not continue schooling, so we immediately cancel the visa and order the concerned foreigner to leave the country. That is all for now, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I'm rushing everything because the chairman of the next committee is going to use the room is already here. So anyway, we have another hearing, so we'll just speed up so that our members can ask questions.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. So the Department of Foreign Affairs interposes no objection to the House Resolution number 1666 and commits to support public inquiries on the increase in the number of Chinese students enrolled in higher educational institutions in Cagayan Province by providing available information on the matter in close coordination with our foreign service posts and partner agencies. The DFA, through its FSP, strictly observes existing rules and regulations on the issuance of student visas pursuant to Executive Order number 285, Series of 2000, which is jointly implemented and monitored by the Interagency Committee on Foreign Students. In view of the national security considerations raised on the influx of Chinese students in Cagayan Province, the DFA is undertaking efforts to strengthen existing policies and procedures on the entry of foreign students and share relevant information to partner agencies, including but not limited to participation in IACFS meetings and review of visa conversion policies in cooperation with the Bureau of Immigration. As of May 20, 2024, the DFA issued the following visas to facilitate the entry of foreign students in the Philippines between 2022 to 2024. 67 9F student visas issued to Indian nationals whose applications were submitted by HEIs at the DFA Office of Consular Affairs, which in turn authorized the Philippine Embassy in New Delhi to issue the said visas. And 3,268 9A temporary visitors visas to Chinese nationals who applied at our FSPs in China with the intention to convert to 9F student visa admission status at the BI upon arrival. Our existing rules and regulations on the entry of foreign students in the Philippines. So all pre-pandemic procedures on visa issuance and entry of foreign nationals into the Philippines have been reinstated since April 1, 2022 onwards. Remember, during the pandemic period, the visa issuance has been suspended. So in particular, DFA OCA resumed issuance of 9F student visas to foreign students upon the endorsement and or submission of complete requirements by accredited higher education institutions. Policies on issuance of student visas. Current rules and regulations on the issuance of 9F student visas defined under the 1940 Philippine Immigration Act are provided in the Joint Memorandum Order Number 1, Series of 2017, on the Consolidated Implementing Guidelines on the Entry and Stay of Foreign Students in the Philippines, issued by the IACFS, pursuant to EO number 285, Series of 2000. The order was promulgated to further streamline regulations on the entry of foreign students in support of the government's policy to promote the Philippines as a center for education in the Asia-Pacific region. Again, in concurrence with the BI Commissioner, with what he mentioned earlier, there are two modes by which foreign nationals may come in and study in the Philippines. Option one is to apply for a 9F student visa at the Foreign Service Post. So we issue the student visa at post. Foreign nationals who wish to enter and take up a degree course in an accredited higher education institution, they're accredited by CHED, can apply for 9F visas at the Foreign Service Post with jurisdiction in their country of origin or place of legal residence. And then option number two, which Commissioner mentioned, they may apply for a 9A visa with the intention to convert for 9F admission status. Foreign nationals intending to enter and stay in the Philippines may apply for 9A temporary visitors visa that can be converted upon arrival at the port of entry. I would like to now inform you about the process flow very briefly. So DFA OCA regularly receives and processes 9F visa applications from HEIs accredited by the CHED and or the Federation of Accrediting Agencies of the Philippines. The documentary requirements are submitted to the DFA by the HEI's designated liaison officers. The process flow of 9F visa applications received by OCA will require the processing time of 15 working days minimum, but usually it stretches far longer, even months, several months, which is published in the DFA Citizens Charter. So the visa assistant receives and checks the completeness of the requirements. The visa assistant drafts and requests for derogatory records check through letter communications if these are restricted nationals. And then upon receipt of the results of the records check, the consular staff drafts the authority to issue the visa to the concerned FSP. The visa assistant informs the requesting party that the authority has been sent to the FSP and advises to coordinate with the concerned post for the issuance of 9F visa. Through it all, the visa officer also conducts interviews and documentary assessment apart from the regular derogatory records check. They will, as I've said, they will appear in person for the interview and comply with additional consular requirements as may be requested by the visa officer. And then if everything goes well, you know, they're compliant, they've successfully complied with all the requirements, procedures, and requirements, they will be issued a 9F visa. In reality, the student visa reaches up to sometimes from few weeks to some months, which is why there was a move to streamline it, and therefore the conversion facility from 9A to 9F was introduced through a joint memorandum circular. So, per OCA's internal circular 1355, dated May 10, posts were instructed to issue 9A temporary visitors visas to foreign students with a prescribed notation in the condition of stay or observation portion of visa stickers for conversion to 9F student visas once in the Philippines. In our visas, we usually put there in the annotation for entry purposes only, conversion to 9F visa upon arrival is required. To ensure that visa applicants are bona fide students of schools in the Philippines, posts are additionally instructed to require all foreign students applying for 9A temporary visitors visas to submit a copy of their notice of acceptance, admission, along with the usual requirements for a 9A visa, tourist visa, and requirements listed in the Foreign Service Circular number 14-2018, dated January 30, 2018. Following are the documentary requirements for the processing and issuance of a 9F student visa, and there are many. These are also included in, of course, our DFA Citizens Charter. These include the letter of endorsement from the college, university, notice of acceptance, personal history statement, transcript of records duly authenticated by the Philippine Embassy and the Consulate, notarized affidavit of support with proof of adequate financial support from the student sponsor, photocopy of applicant's passport, and certified true copy of certificate of eligibility from the CHED for medical students only. For foreign nationals applying for 9F visa at all posts, we'll submit the following additional requirements as published in our website. In addition to what I've mentioned before, they also have to submit the notice of acceptance or admission from the university, the police clearance from the country of origin and place of legal residence, and the medical certificate. Now, for the issuance of 9A visas with the intent of converting to 9F admission status, the foreign national will submit the following requirements as published in our website. And this is also in accordance with that joint memorandum circular between the DFA and the BI. So they are required to submit police clearance from country of origin or place of legal residence, medical certificate, scholastic records, affidavit of support, and notice of acceptance from the school. As a general rule, official copies of documentary requirements are submitted for processing of 9F visa applications through either option 1 or option 2 to verify their authenticity. In view of the national security considerations raised in the influx of Chinese students in Cagayan, the DFA is undertaking the following efforts to strengthen the existing policies and procedures on the entry of foreign students and share relevant information to partner agencies. Number 1, participation in IACFS meeting. The DFA regularly attends IACFS meetings chaired by the Commission on Higher Education, with the last working level meeting conducted on April 30. The said meeting attended by representatives from the following IACFS member agencies: BI, NICA, and Bureau of Immigration. The meeting gathered updates from the IACFS member agencies on the issuance of visas and entry of foreign students in the Philippines and procedures in the accreditation of the Philippine higher educational institutions. Also, I may wish to, I would like to note that we had a recent IACAFS meeting just days earlier, and I hope the CHED representative would report on this later. So, and then consultation with the BI on visa conversion as part of its deliverables at the House Committee on Dangerous Drugs. The DFA conducted a consultation meeting with BI on May 15 to thoroughly review visa conversion policies and share information on the matter. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Position paper, because you have not submitted your written
Yes,
position
I
paper.
just, we just received the approval of the Secretary.
Okay,
So I am.
Ched, please make it short.
Yes, Madam Chair. To answer the question of Congressman Rodriguez, why are we accepting, why are there foreign students, we would like to provide a brief context, Madam Chair. We have few slides, Madam Chair, but I will try to make it very brief. Foreign students have been enrolling in the Philippines since 1995. For example po, in UPLB, there were 23 graduates from Iran. They pursued master's and doctorate program. In UPLB alone, from 2008, wala lang po yung slides, Madam Chair, to 2024, there were already 646 total international graduates. Yung UPLB, next slide. Okay. On the year 2012, the highest number of Iranian nationals is as high as 1,707. For the last 7 years, the nationality with the highest number of foreign students are the Indian nationals, followed by Chinese nationals, and third by the Nigerian nationals. For Indian and Nigerian, they are mostly enrolled in health-related programs. For the nationality with the highest number during the academic year 2020-2022, there was an increase in the number of Indian students. You can see that in our slides, pero I don't know, Madam Chair, hindi lang napapakita. But it declined due to a different issue po. Ayan, so yan. Pinapakita lang po namin that, next slide. Ayan. For academic year 2022-2023, there were, next slide, these were the total number of foreign students per our latest data. So why do they come? Since Executive Order 285, it has been the policy of the government to continuously promote the Philippines as a center of education. Aside from that, of course, the medium of our instruction, we have quality degree programs, specifically, Madam Chair, in our medical-related programs. And of course, affordability of our programs. So, as to the issue on Chinese students, based on our data for academic year 2022-2023, it was NCR with the highest number of Chinese students, followed, nakikita nyo naman po dito. And then for academic year 2023, for academic year 2023, it is now Region 2 with the highest number of Chinese national. No, NCR pa rin po pala, I'm sorry. NCR followed by Region 2. Okay, and then we have also gathered data from SPUP, which is one of the responsibility of CHED under the guidelines. And based on the data gathered from SPUP that they have submitted, they had the highest number during the pandemic. Let me explain lang din po that during the pandemic, CHED allowed an online modality for foreign students for selected higher education institutions, not all po, including autonomous and deregulated institutions, which includes SPUP. So, sa responsibility na, under the ICFS, the responsibility of CHED is to conduct regular monitoring. We have been conducting monitoring. The last one po was on October 2018. During the COVID-19 pandemic, foreign students po were repatriated to their countries. That is why wala pong masyadong foreign students here in the Philippines. After our issuance of the memo, which we have directed our our higher education institutions na yung online modality of foreign students are being revoked, they are expected already to resume or to be back here to do on-site modality of teaching and learning. That is academic year 2023-2024. That is why we are expecting po talaga that yung mga institutions which have been allowed to accept foreign students, magbabalik din po ang kanilang mga foreign students. So, On April 24, as one of the responsibilities of the Commission on Higher Education, as chair of the committee, we have convened the interagency with the purpose of updating the data of the different government agencies. And let me just mention din po that based on the ICFS, activities which appear to be inimical to national security, NICA and NBI po will check. As mentioned din po by Director Lilani, we had an interagency meeting, a high-level one at that, and there were agreements made by the members. One of which po is the data sharing agreement. We decided also on the data sharing agreement, Madam Chair, because we recognize that there appears a difference between the data of the Commission on Higher Education and BI as to the number of students. Ang reason po nito, Madam Chair, is that our number is, of course, enrollment po ang basis po namin sa number of foreign students, while doon po sa BI is the number of visa issuance. Kaya if it would appear that there is a difference on the number, but that is the reason why we have agreed to have a data sharing agreement so that we can consolidate the data of all government agencies and we can appraise all of the government, all of the members of the committee of the data of one another, Madam Chair. So ang key agreements po namin during the meeting, Madam Chair, is one, that we will conduct or that we will have data sharing agreement, and then if based on our consolidation of data, there appears to be an irregularity, then we will conduct an inspection as provided under the rules, Madam Chair. That is all po. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Kong Rufus, you have the floor. Yes, Kong Lara.
I may ask yung presentation na Chet, pwede pa kami?
Yes, submit the copies of your presentation, please. Kong Rufus, you have the floor.
Yes, it's very clear to us upon the presentations of the Bureau of Immigration, the Department of Foreign Affairs, OCA, and also, Madam Chair, Chet. So this really starts with HEIs. The higher education institutions would be the one sending the acceptance and the other certificates that they are to be enrolled. They have applied and they have been accepted. Is that correct, DFA? In other words, your post will not grant either 9A or 9F if there is no educational institution that submits, that the applicant would attach to his application. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
Congressman.
So now, there are therefore, from the DFA, they're either granted 9F student visa or 9A tourist visa. Okay. The next step is that those in 9A, they go to the immigration for conversion. You're mentioning Executive Order 285. Who was the commissioner who was part of the issuance of that?
It was Your Honor.
Thank
that was
you.
the commissioner at that time.
I was the one because I convinced the president that our country should be the hub of education. Why are they going to other countries? In the Philippines, we have the best institutions in the ASEAN region. And we have this facility of English. At the time, Madam Chair, there was still no 9-dash line declared by China. So that was the difference. And so I convinced the president to issue, because it takes so much time for those who wish to study in our universities to go to 9F, because as stated by the Honorable Director, it takes 3 to 5 months, and classes will already start because they are really coming in to be able to have that semester. Otherwise, if they are delayed in getting their student visa, they will miss 1 full year. Okay, so now that is President Erap's executive order, because I convince him we will earn, our schools will earn, our faculty, there'll be more faculty members, more students, as it has a exponential effect on our economy and our educational system. Again, at the time, no problems yet with the 9-dash line. And so, Madam Chair, clearly, the first step is the HAI. So, CHED should be, does CHED, you can answer this after my question, do they monitor has CHED monitored St. Paul's and St. Louis there? Because we heard already in the executive session that there are thousands of students. So please answer that when I finish my interpellation. It's quite amazing that there will be schools that will have 5,000 students for 6. So that is one. Does CHED monitor? Especially because we really have a problem with our relation with China, because China is trying to usurp our sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. So that is one. So HEIs have been sending. And so then DFA will be approving once the HEI has the certificate of acceptance. The immigration comes in always at the last. It is difficult to blame immigration, of which the best commissioner that we ever had was Marcelino Libanan. They cannot be faulted here because they are merely converting the visa already issued by the DFA, either of 9A, 9F, diretso na 9A, and so they are the last in the line. And so therefore, because the CHED, the HEI have already approved the acceptance of these students, DFA has also approved them as also 9A immigration, Madam Chair. This is not to defend immigration, because after me, Commissioner Libanan, we were commissioners, and we always make sure that's why we are now the co-authors of the new immigration law, which is 1941 vintage. So the immigration is the last in the step. And so therefore, I would like to ask, there is now an interagency. I'd like to ask the answers now of CHED, DFA, and immigration. You have met recently. How do we go about? Because there is now a national security concern. Because there has been, I will tell you now, there have been instances of students going to EDCA sites. I'm not going to give the particulars. There are now some purchases of land by Chinese in the EDCA sites. So how do we move forward to be very judicious in granting this? So may we know, the first one in the line is, of course, CHED, because those that is supervised, the HEIs, are supervised by CHED, and then they have allowed, the CHED has allowed 4,600 students why are they interested? In Cagayan, Madam Chair. So that's the first one, and then we go to DFA. How do we move forward to be able to protect our national security? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, on the level of the interagency committee, we have not yet done the monitoring because as I've mentioned po, we will consolidate po muna the data and information at saka po kami on-site inspection, spot inspection as directed by the rules po, Madam Chair. But on the level of the commission po, on our regional level, because of the flexible learning guidelines po namin, we have done a monitoring of that flexible learning guidelines po, Madam Chair. Tapos yung sa pinopoint out po ni Kong Rufus na why are we not yet monitoring the 4,000 students po in SPUP? As I've mentioned po, yung influx po talaga ng Chinese students came ng academic year 2023-2024 po, Madam Chair, because during the pandemic, it was really online. So wala po ang mga foreign students po at that time. So this year po namin i-conduct po yung inspection, Madam Chair.
Interject lang, with your indulgence of Kong Rufus, Madam Chair. May tanong ko lang sa CHED, kasi sabi nyo last time na mag-update kayo for update or nag-convene yung interagency was April 24, 2024. Am I right?
Yes po, Madam. Yes po, Madam Chair.
But prior to that, kailan yung huli nyo bago kayo nag-convene ulit? Bago kayo nag-convene ngayong year? Kasi ito, tingin ko, nag-convene lang kayo dahil dito sa final natin. So ang tanong ko, kailan yung, kasi provided yan dyan sa sinasabi nyo ngayon. Di ba?
Madam Chair, based on the data of our OSTS, September 29, 2023 po, na nag-convene po yung interagency.
Kailan?
September 29, 2023 po.
September 29, 2023
23 po.
23. National yan.
The interagency po, Mr.
Yung
Madam Chair.
sa regional.
Sa regional.
Cagayan.
Sa regional po, this year daw po.
Ha?
This year po, Madam Chair.
Anong this year? Kasi nag-meeting na kami ni na Marco, no less than the NBI director. Nagtaka bakit na ngayon lang niya alam na meron ito. You're under oath, Director Marco. Madam Chair, I'm reminding the director, no? Kasi baka may tendency ka makalimot, no? Ano lang natin to, on proper perspective lang. Okay? So tanong ko lang, kailan yung huli kayong nag-convene prior to etong sinasabi nyo? Madam Chair, kasi bago mo sagutin yan, I received information na yung last na update nyo was I think 2018. Sisiguruduhin mo lang, Director, yung dates mo, ha? Kasi under oath ka dito, wag kang remind lang kita, Madam Chair, no? If your dates is really true, no, walang question yan. Pero kung may problema ka sa date, it's another story. Okay? Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, good morning. We met 3 times, sometime in April and sometime in May po. The last time was, I think, the first week of May, sir, but I cannot give the specific date. I forget the specific date right now.
Pakilakas nga, Director. Hindi namin marinig.
We met with the line agency, sir, I believe 3 times. 1 in April, and I think 2 in May.
April after the filing.
April 2024 and May
Yes,
2024.
April after the filing because we filed this March. Okay, and I conducted, Madam Chair, a interagency meeting. I called for an interagency meeting. Unfortunately, I kept on calling RD Marco to attend it. That said meeting, unfortunately, he's in Batanes. No, kasi napaka-importanteng meeting ito, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, hindi siya nag-attend, nagpadala ng ibang representative. Again, para lang malaman ng aking colleagues dito, in this committee, yung may patawag noon, ang governor, iba ang pinag-attend ni director. Nung nagpatawag ako, iba din pinag-attend niya. So, kaya ko din kinaklaro ito kasi para maging consistent lang tayo. No? Kasi wala naman tayong gustong palabasin dito, kundi yung katotohanan lamang para malaman natin kung anong magiging safeguard natin. Because this is only about education na issue. It's our primary intent is the national security concern. Okay? I-remind ko lang, no, ang CHED na this more on a national security concern, Madam Chair.
We'll continue with the
Madam Chair?
Rufus. He still
Madam
has
Chair?
the floor. Yes, sir.
Sundan ko lang ang tanong
I
ng...
yield to, it's my time, but I yield to Commissioner,
Yes.
Governor, Minority Leader, Marcelino Nonoy Libanan.
Yes, Maino.
Madam
Go
Chair,
ahead po.
susundan ko lang ang pagtatanong ng pinakamagaling na naging Commissioner ng Bureau of Immigration, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Susundan ko rin yung pagtatanong ni Congressman Jojo Lara ng Tugigaraw. Madam Chair, sa lahat ng ito, CHED ang nasa taas. This is the Commission on Higher Education at kulang dito ang elementary. Ano ba ang mayroon sa Tugigaraw na yun ang kinahiligan doon mag-enroll yung mga Chinese? Sa dami nating universities, bakit sa Maynila maintindihan natin, di ba? Lahat papunta ng Maynila. Pero kung papunta ng Tugigaraw, bakit nandoon sila?
Madam Chair, unfortunately po, baka po yung private higher education institutions po ang proper party po to answer that. Why are they enrolling po in Cagayan po, Madam Chair.
Kayo po ang nagsusupervise dito, Madam Chair. So, kailangan natin ng mga data analyst dito lalo na't may national security issue tayo. Ano bang nalalaman ninyo? Bakit paborito ito doon?
Madam Chair, if we will base it on our data, the general categories pa rin po ang ground nila for pursuing international study here in the Philippines, which is the English as a medium of instruction, quality institutions. On the part of Region 2, SPUP is one of our autonomous and regulated institutions, Madam Chair. And of course, affordability po siguro, Madam Chair. Based on our data and based on our evaluation of foreign students pursuing programs here in the Philippines.
Madam Chair, tinanong ko po yan dahil napaka-importante ngayong panahon magkaroon tayo ng data analysis. Kaya nandiyan po kayo at lahat ng ating regions. Baka kung ano ng mga nangyayari sa... ngayon, sa dami ng influx ng students doon, hindi ba ito naging red flag para sa CHED? At mag-alarma kayo na kakaiba naman po ito. This is something out of the ordinary.
Apo. Madam Chair, if I may answer po. Apo. Madam Chair, as I've mentioned po, doon po kasi doon sa trend po na pinapakita ko nga po sa inyo. Actually po, yung Chinese students, hindi po siya yung major number. Ang nationality po talaga na marami ang foreign students po natin ay Indian nationals. And if we base it also on data, it's NCR which has the highest number of Chinese students po, Madam Chair. Kaya po, if we take a look at it in the aggregate po, Madam Chair, kaya po hindi pa siya, we did not see a concern yet at that time because yun nga po, if we base it on data, one, it's not the Chinese students with the highest number of foreign students, it's Indian nationals po. And then second, it's NCR po with the highest number. If we will base it on data po, but as I've mentioned po, if there are national concerns which could be raised appropriately by the government bodies such as NICA and NBI as directed as pursuant to the interagency committee, then we will discuss that po in the interagency committee po, Madam Chair. And during our high-level meeting po, I don't remember that there were issues raised yet po. I understand that as of now po merong na-raise po na concern, but during our high-level meeting, hindi pa po na-raise yung national security concern po during our high-level meeting po, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, si Congressman Jojo Lara ay representative ng tao ng Cagayan. Siya ang magsasalita kung anong nararamdaman ng mga tao po doon. Nung nagsalita siya, I think, Congressman, last year, nagsalita na siya last year. What actions, if any, actions, if any, did you take? Dahil nag-a-alarm na, nagsisend na siya ng red flag Mayroon ba kayong ginawa?
Madam Chair, if I may answer po, last January po, we have issued a memorandum directing na our higher education institutions which are accepting foreign students to provide us data as provided under the interagency committee, the IACFS Memorandum number 1, and then we reiterated that memo po last March 2024, Madam Chair, and that is why we have data na po on coming from Region 2 institutions or private higher education institutions, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may mga data na tayo. Kasama ninyo sa cluster, sa task force, yung NBI, kasama yung National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. Nag-formal ba kayo ng submission sa kanila itong mga data na nakikita nyo for their intelligence analysis so that they can favorably recommend on what actions to take? Yun naman ang purpose ng sector natin ito.
Jed, please answer.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, kinoconsult ko lang kung na-share namin. Kasi if I remember, during the high-level meeting, we agreed that we will share the data that we have. At tinatanong ko lang po yung personal namin if we were able to actually share, Madam Chair. So, yes, to answer po sa question of Congressman Libay, meron pong agreement to share the data po that we have po. Pursuant rin po, if I may reiterate, if I may mention din po, dun po sa AICFS memorandum order po, actually it's a responsibility of also of the private higher education institutions to copy furnish, to submit to CHED and BI, and then copy furnish NICA and NBI po of all the reports that they are submitting.
May interject ka? Sige, yes, sir. Yes, Madam Chair.
Yung sinasabi lang ng CHED kasi kanina, nagkaroon ng meeting na last year, which was September 29. Okay? Can we be furnished of the copy of the minutes of this one? No? Tapos pangalawa, pwede mo bang kaming furnishan dun sa memorandum na binigay nila sa HEI? Kasi ini-interject nyo yung 285 or yung JMO 1. Very clear po dun na hindi kailangan hingin. Di ba? Nabanggit nyo din kanina, Madam Chair, na voluntary ibibigay kasi kailangan talagang sabinan. Ngayon, para lang malaman mo, yung nag-meeting kami noong October 23 sa iba-ibang mga ahensya, nagsabi ang NICA Director, Olet, na sumulat na siya sa CHED, no, na makuha yung mga compliance na hiningi nila ng mga information. Unfortunately, ang sinagot sa kanila, they cannot disclose dahil sa Privacy Act. Okay? Hindi ko alam kung nag-report yung taong pina-attend, Madam Chair, ng ating RD ng CHED, no, na yun ang sinabi, na nag-react yung lahat ng nandun together with the RD ng NBI. Kaya nga naisip pa ng RD ng NBI na they would just subpoena, no, ang CHED para maibigay yung mga information na kailangan nilang
require them to submit that information here.
Actually, it's supposedly voluntary, Madam Chair, kasama po dun sa ng CHED. Ngayon, kung non-compliance ang HEI, hindi ba subject for na yun, ma-penalize sila, if not revocation of their... Yeah? So, yun lang, Madam Chair, due respect.
I give my no again.
Madam Chair, with the continuous permission of the best Immigration Commissioner of the Bureau of Immigration. I would like to pose the same questions to the Department of Foreign Affairs. Kasi nakikita po natin, nagsisimula ito sa mga schools, sa CHED, tapos pinapasa sa Foreign Affairs. Hindi ba naging red flag sa inyo? Bakit ang daming gustong mag-aral sa Tugigaraw? Bakit? Ano bang magandang kurso na nandun na parang napaka-attractive?
Good morning, Congressman Libanan. First of all, let me see. When we issue those 9F visas, mostly to Indians, tapos I think you're referring to the 9A. Ang batayan po namin kasi is, number one, of course, we have to ascertain the authenticity of the documents, to the completeness of the submission of the requirements, and then when we interview, tinitingnan po kung nagsisinungaling ba, nagsasabi ba ng totoo ito. So yun po yung batayan namin po, to issue the visas, and whether it corresponds to the purpose of the visit. Now, because of the joint memorandum circular that allows, yun nga ho, yung conversion facility, binibigyan po sila ng 9A, but then during the application process, they submit several documents that prove that they indeed are, number one, accepted in a university, and number two, they intend to study. So yun po yung batayan namin. Now, as for the, kung bakit po mas marami sa Cagayan,
kasi ma'am, I would like to
sige
ilatag ko yung tanong na ito ng maayos. Kayong Foreign Affairs, kayo mismo ang frontline sa problema natin sa West Philippine Sea. Di po ba? Alam nyo lahat yung mga issues dyan. At alam nyo yung EDCA site nandyan. Kayo ang foreign affairs ang nakikipag-usap sa international. At nakita ninyo, may EDCA site doon. At doon nag-a-apply sa inyo yung 9F, 9A conversion to student visa. Hindi nyo ba nakita yung numbers na ito at i-alarma ang ating ISAP, ang ating NICA, ang ating Immigration Commissioner bago mangyari ito lahat? Yun po ang tanong ko, Madam Chair.
Every month, we have the monthly visa issuances report. So in that specific report, nakalagay po yung kung ilan ho yung issuances. Now, we don't have, yun nga lang, yung detailed information as to which schools they are enrolled in for the 9F or the 9A. Yun po yung...
Moving forward, sana
our
magkaroon tayo ng data analysis at mga recommendation dito. Kasi hindi lang naman tayo pasa-pasa dito. Kailangan naman natin mag-analyze at mag-isip. Madam Chair, gusto ko rin tanungin ang ating Commissioner ng Immigration.
I have to therefore come in now because we have an interjection for Ched. I have not asked the DFA and the Immigration. So if you'll allow me, I'll continue with my time.
Of course, Madam
Thank you
Chair.
very much. Just going back before I go to the other two, going back, are you aware that the students, these Chinese students, they pay 1,200,000 each to be enrolled in these colleges in Cagayan? 1,200,000 each to the school. Does not it give you the red flag that something is, not normal? Bibino, have you investigated that? How much they are charging? I was informed that it is 1 million per student to enroll. Yeah, please answer the chat.
Madam Chair, if it may be allowed that our regional director answer that.
Yeah.
Considering po, yung monitoring po kasi ay, sila po ang nag-conduct.
Alam ba ni Director yan na ganun ang bayaran doon?
Sir, based on our interview with St. Paul, we asked also the same question, how much do they charge?
Please speak louder so that you'll be recorded. Yeah,
Yes,
to the microphone in front of you.
Sir, based on our interview with St. Paul, they informed us that the students pay, I think, $1,000 per semester, per time. So that in three, it will be, it's a trimester system, so that will be $3,000.
Madam Chair, if I may, interject ko lang.
Permit
kay Kong
our
Rufus. Si R.D. Marco was present nung nag-meeting kami ng October 5. You heard the statement of the representative ng University of St. Louis claiming na may 1 million na usapan galing sa agent na yun yung binabanggit kanina on our executive session, Madam Chair. Pero ang problema, 1 million paparesibo, 200,000 lang ang actual mahuhulog o may iwan sa eskwelahan. That was USL. Narinig mo yun, RD. No? Narinig mo yun. Nandun ka kasama si RD ng NICA. And of course, ang St. Paul kasi ngayon, hindi nag-attend sa meeting ko. So, i-manifest ko mamaya yun, Madam Chair. At ang St. Paul, nung sinabi na 1.2 million yung sa St. Paul, he neither denied nor confirmed. But sinasabi niya, at that juncture, Madam Chair, na 4,600 students na nag-enroll since the start ng internalization program ng St. Paul at 1-2 ang existing enrolled nung October 5. So, i-clear ko lang po yun, Madam Chair, at ang target ng St. Paul, yung representative nila noon, na si PJ Lapay, ay target daw ng St. Paul University Philippines is about 10,000 Chinese students. So, iklaro ko po lang yun,
Yes,
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, the St. Paul representative is here. May we know again whether you have come back to this room after the executive session? Is he here?
Yes, Your Honor.
St.
I am
Paul's.
here.
Okay, so now, we now hear from the horse mouth.
But he's a different guy.
Yeah, but we'll ask him now because he represents St. Paul's. Can you now answer the statement of Congressman Lara that your representative in a meeting is stated that for every student, Chinese student, you receive 1.2 million pesos. It's already 4,600 in St. Paul, and you intend to have 10,000 students. Can you answer that? You are under oath.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Your Honors. I am Jeremy Godofredo Morales. I'm the Director for Internationalization at St. Paul University, Philippines. Number one, I was not the one who attended the meeting, as our good congressman has been saying. So I also would like to say that I was not verified, or I was not asked before numbers were given out. Currently, the numbers of foreign students at St. Paul University, Philippines. Yes, ma'am.
Don, you did not take your oath yet?
I did, ma'am.
He did already.
I did. Yeah. Thank you.
So what's the direct answer? Did your school receive 1.2 and only this much is receipted?
No,
the
Your
others
Honor.
went somewhere? Please
No,
state your answer.
No, Your Honor. St. Paul University, Philippines does not charge 1.2 million
How much is
pesos.
being charged?
The university charges $1,000 per trimester for each foreign student, and the students for tuition fee per trimester. And in 1 year, the students enroll in 4 trimesters. So for the students to complete their graduate school program, they are enrolled in at least 10 trimesters. So if we put together that $1,000 times 10 per trimester times 10 trimesters, that's only $10,000. So it does not reach 1.2 million pesos.
It will reach 580,000 per 80. It's now 58.6, so it's almost a million also. But anyway, that is your answer, and we will go further here. And you are under oath. So, Madam Chair, just to wind up, because we're winding up, I now go to the DFA. You are, stated by my good commissioner and chairman and minority leader, you are in the forefront of protecting us. How many note verbals have we issued against China for its violation since the President PBBM assumed office? How many notes verbal for the intrusion of these Chinese vessels in our sovereign West Philippine Sea?
Thank you, Congressman. I would like to answer that, but I am not in the Office of the Maritime Ocean Affairs Center.
That is
I
all
am with
over
the
the
Visa
papers,
Division.
Director
But
Feliciano.
I know there have been several
It's about
hundreds.
350.
Yes.
It's in the papers.
Yes,
Me, even if I'm not in the DFA, I know because I read. Every day almost we have about verbal. So, were you not alarmed that, for example, EDCA site, Cagayan, Santa Ana, the naval port, in that part, and then near, proximate to Batanes, which China is trying to claim and to really get. Were you not alarmed that these are just too many in a particular place?
Okay. Thank you, Congressman. So before I answer your question, I want to add something more to the previous. Okay, so aside from the authenticity of the documents, the identity of the applicant, and the purpose of visit, we also, of course, ascertain whether a certain foreign national is a security risk, which is why we conduct security clearances with BI and NICA, and we work closely with them. So yun po yung basis namin to ascertain whether a certain person
You
is...
did find that a large influx of Chinese students will not be a security risk? Huh? You are with the Office of the Consular Affairs, huh?
Let me, we have taken note of all of the House resolutions, of all of the POGO activities, sex trafficking, etc., and the influx of Chinese. In fact, our office and our undersecretary will be conducting an interagency committee meeting on visa concerns tomorrow precisely to address these issues with a view to harmonizing the policies or maybe even revise the policies based on the security concerns that have been raised in the recent months. So we are taking very good note, sir. Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
And we seek to strengthen our visa policies and make it even stricter if need be, which is obviously needed.
You already,
Madam Chair.
the DFA, can you just finish? The DFA secretary already said that there'll be stricter rules, right? Do you
Yes.
confirm that?
Yes,
That
sir.
the DFA has now issued to all consulars, especially China, to be stricter on issuances to the Chinese students or nationals coming in. Finally, I'll wind up already. Thank you, DFA Director Feliciano. We go now to immigration. You are in the last leg of all this particular setup, no? When your immigration student desk, when they issue the conversion from 9A to 9F, did you make sure that all the requirements that were required by the DFA and schools, that they were all present when you converted this particular visas?
Thank you, Your Honor. 100% we can assure the committee that the student visa section scrutinize and assess the completeness and authenticity of all the supporting documents. And to add, we only issue student visa conversion if there is a notice of acceptance from the school and that school is authorized to accept foreign students.
And under your helm, there will be no more pastilla scheme because Chairman Abante has stated in his resolution of some corrupt activities of the Bureau of Immigration. Of course, that was not during time. During your time, do you commit that you're going to perform your duties diligently and with integrity? Commissioner Norman Tansinko.
Unqualified commitment, Your Honor.
Unqualified commitment. That is good enough. Congratulations, Commissioner. With that, I end, Madam Chair, and I am going to the meeting with the DPWH because I have many requests for infrastructure. Thank you very much to those who are here. Thank you. Sana all.
Committee, no? Si Chairman Dan Fernandez is already outside. So,
Thank you.
bilisan lang
Thank
po
you, Madam
natin,
Chair. Gusto ko lang ipakita yung procedure for foreign students. Will you please flash that, ma'am, madam? Meron na ba? Okay. And will you please? Okay. This is with regard to the report of the Bureau of Immigration. Meron kayo ritong mode 1 at saka mode 2. Ang mode 1 enters the Philippines using 9F and using 9A. Ang sabi ni Kong Jojo Lara, there are 4,600 Chinese nationals who are in Cagayan. In Cagayan. Sa 4,600 foreign nationals, particularly Chinese nationals, ilan po yung 9F dyan at saka ilan yung 9A dyan? Madam Chair.
Thank you. In the case of St. Paul's, all foreign students opted for mode 2. So they came in using 9A tourist visa and converted to 9F. And based on our data, for St. Paul's University for 2023, 1,464 only applied for conversion and 52 applied for extension. We have no data showing of the 4,600 students.
Okay. Will you please show that again, Madam, Mr. Secretariat, please? Will you please take a look on the
matrix, there is mode 1 colored blue, and there is under that there is red. Under the color blue, there is this student applies for student visa with Philippine Embassy Consulate. And then at another point, performs vetting process with NICA. Paano natin nakukuha itong 9F na ito na hindi natin malalaman kung ilan yung estudyanteng pumasok sa atin? My question is directed to NICA. Were you able to vet these foreign nationals who entered the province of Cagayan?
Madam Chair, upon request, we receive those names, but unfortunately, it's not our directorate that processes it. It's our directorate for analysis and production, D3. We are from the directorate of.
Request them to be present next hearing.
Ma'am, alam ko pong kulang na yung minuto. At any rate, tatapusin ko na lang po yung tanong ko sa next scheduled committee hearing natin. Will you please, my request to the Bureau of Immigration as well as the DFA and the NICA, will you just follow this procedure and produce all the data regarding the 4,600 foreign nationals enrolled at St. Paul's University, as well as those mentioned earlier by Kong Rofus, the 10,000. Ay, yung 10,000 kanina.
Target nila.
Okay. Will you produce all the data available next scheduled committee hearing po? Madam Chair, thank you and your kind indulgence.
I'm sorry for rushing you.
Madam Chair, pwede ba ako kahit konti?
Lastly, minority si Kong Abante, si Kong Manuel. One
Sige.
question
Thank you,
daw.
Madam Chair. Isa lang, kasi nga nabanggit na i-revise yung policies sa conversion ng visa. Gusto lang natin makuha, at least para may definite na panghawakan yung committee. May timeline po ba kailan pwedeng ma-produce yung ganong updated na policy? Kasi yun nga, given na merong tayong security situation, ayaw natin na maabuso siya, di ba? Yung nako-convert from temporary visa patungong student visa. Yan lang, Madam Chair.
Can we ask the agencies to submit this so that we can distribute to the members? Yes, Kong Abante.
Gusto ko lang
last.
itanong, Madam Chair, itong St. Paul, no? Ilan ang current enrollment ngayon sa inyo? Ng Chinese, ha?
Good afternoon po. Currently, we have 828
Current
Chinese
enrollment.
students. And I would just, may I be allowed to clarify? We never reached 4,600 total of Chinese students enrolled in any year at St. Paul University, Philippines.
But you have 800 right now.
Yes po, sir. That's
So, nagbayad yan ng $10,000 each.
per trimester din po sila nagbabayad.
Okay.
Hindi po
Are they
minsanan.
still there now?
Many of them are in Tuguegarao.
How many are attending face-to-face classes?
About 200 po.
What are the others doing?
The others, since they came before since they went home sometime, their visas expired, their student visas expired, so they had to apply for a new tourist visa.
So pag alimbawa nag-expire ang kanilang visa, ano ginagawa ninyo?
We notify them. We notify our students of the policies and procedures and the activities in the university that they need to come already to the university because we're going back to face-to-face. Kapag nag-expire na po yung visa nila, we give them letter of acceptance after verifying that they are still enrolled with the university.
Are you able to, Madam Chair, are you able to get all of the requirements properly and officially?
Yes, sir. The red ribbon documents, yes, sir.
You have that?
Yes, sir. In the university, authenticated by the Philippine Embassy.
Pinuntahan na ba kayo ng NICA about that?
Yes po. There were representatives po.
Pinuntahan na kayo?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Therefore, Madam Chair, I just would like to manifest here that there are not only 400 enrolled in Cagayan. St. Paul, 800 po ang enrolled. And all of them paid $10,000 each. Ang laki ng kita ng St. Paul, ha? Ang laki ng kita ng St. Paul. Therefore, Madam Chair, dadagan pa nila yun, malaki ang kita eh. Oo. And then, the NICA went there. I do not know why they're here today. They are present only, Madam Chair, but they do not even know why they are present. So therefore, in the next meeting we have, Madam Chair, if we're going to have another session here, that the NICA people should have their own heads here, including the ISAP, including the National Security Council, and they must be prepared, Madam Chair, to submit to us all the documents needed that they should submit.
So at the next meeting, we will require all the heads of the agencies, and then all the documents should be submitted. And since you were invited, you have to prepare. Hindi pa pwedeng pupunta kayo dito na hindi nyo alam kung bakit kayo nandito. Okay? And lastly, the author, before we adjourn.
Yeah, just a point of clarification before I will seek for a motion to suspend, Madam Chair. I will reiterate my invitation for the resource person of St. Paul University, Philippines, the guy who we had a meeting with the director of CHED back then, PJ Lapay, because he was the one who gave us the figures. Voluntary po yun, hindi po ko tinatanong yun, sa kanya galing. So from that end, no, pati yung sa St. Louis University, Madam Chair. Kasi may konting discrepancy na, pero i-reserve ko na sa next hearing. Kasi nasabi ni Chairman kanina, Commissioner, na mukhang 85 o 52 lang na renew. Ngayon, 800 plus pala ang Commissioner. Narinig mo siguro yung sinabi ng St. Paul, no? 800 plus ang estudyante nila. How come 52 lang ngayon? Saan ang galing na yung dokumento na nila? No? So,
the 52, Your Honor, is extension.
Yeah.
Not conversion, extension.
Okay. So, i-verify na lang natin on the next hearing. So, with this, Madam Chair, I move for the suspension of this.